This is the updated Renault Arkana compact SUV, and it's packed full of French flair. It's an amazing looking machine, and also has a few hidden gems, but I'll fill you in on those later.
The Arkana has been given an update for 2024, which ushers in two new model grades, named Techno and Esprit Alpine. These replace the mid-tier Intense and range-topping RS line grades of the past version. A cheaper Evolution grade will join the lineup later this year to replace the old Zen variant. Despite the name change, the prices remain the same, the Techno starting at $41,000 before on-road costs, and the Esprit Alpine kicks off at $45,000. Expect the entry-level grade to start at about $37,500 when it arrives towards the end of this year. The Arkana isn't the cheapest small SUV in the market, with cheaper alternatives such as the Mazda CX-30, Hyundai Kona, and Kia Seltos. But it's cheaper than its French counterpart, the Peugeot 2008, and the hybrid-only Toyota CHR. There are some pretty nice touches that help justify the price tag though. The Techno grade has 18-inch alloy wheels, which step up to 19s on the Esprit Alpine variant. And all versions have LED headlights and tail lights. Step inside and you are greeted by leather with faux suede accented seats in the Techno and synthetic suede and leather seats in the Esprit Alpine. The front seats are heated in both, and the top grade also has a heated steering wheel. There are plenty of tech highlights too. A 9.3-inch tablet-style multimedia touchscreen is compatible with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and there is inbuilt sat-nav too. This is paired with a 10.25-inch digital instrument display. A wireless device charger is standard, and the Esprit Alpine grade gets an 8-speaker Bose stereo compared to the 6-speaker unit found in the Techno version. The Esprit Alpine has a sunroof that is a $1,500 option on the Techno grade. Check out our full written review at carsguide.com.au for the full specification. The Arkana sets itself apart from the usual compact SUV set, with its coupe-like design. Its sweepy roof is what you'll notice first. It breaks the mould compared to the boxy shape of most SUVs. The only other option in this body style are the outdated-looking Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross and the expensive Toyota CHR. The Arkana has curves in all the right places, and its little grille is made up of little Renault badge diamonds, which is a welcome addition in a world full of wide-mouth front ends. C-shaped LED headlights and a large Renault badge add a bit of pop to the look too. The pinched rear end has LED lights that run from the taillights to the centre badge, and Arkana is spelled out in big, bold letters. The Esprit Alpine, seen here, has giant 19-inch alloys that really fill the car's big wheel arches, but can look a little bit too big from some angles. The Esprit Alpine stands out with gunmetal highlights on the front bumper and the front and rear skid plates in the same colour. It also has an Esprit Alpine badge below the side mirror and front door sill plates. Tricolour red, white and blue stitching on the steering wheel and door trim and blue stitching on the seats, gear shifter and centre console further differentiate the Esprit Alpine from the Techno. Both grades have 8 ambient interior light colours to choose from. On the outside, solid white is the only no-cost paint option, but it's not available on the Esprit Alpine. Metallic white, blue, black, grey and red cost $750. Buyers can also option a black roof for a two-tone look for $600. Remember, this is a compact SUV, so don't expect it to sit 5 adults in absolute comfort. Think young couples or empty nesters.
So inside, the cabin's not a bad place to spend a bit of time. There's quite a few storage options too. So there's 2 cup holders here that easily handle a coffee cup, water bottle. The storage in the centre console's a little bit small, and the doors can hold a drink bottle, notepad, whatever, but there's this nice little net there for smaller items so they don't roll around when you're driving. There's quite a few nice features as well in the cabin. So the seats are really soft and comfortable. They are made of this faux leather and suede material, but it looks pretty close to the real stuff. And there's this really nice contrast stitching too here on the door and on the steering wheel. And there's also good charging options too for your devices. There's a wireless device charger, and there's a couple of USB-A charging ports here in the front and 2 in the back, which is great. And there's also some decent materials used. So this is soft touch up here. This feels a little bit hard and a little bit on the cheaper side. And it is a little bit hard wearing plastic down on the bottom as well, below the eye level. But overall, it's a pretty nice cabin.
There are ISOFIX anchor points on 2 rear window seats and a top tether anchor for the middle seat. The Arkana's body shape makes the boot more like one found in a sedan, which is longer and lower than most SUVs. What's under here is very French. Strict emissions regulations in Europe mean small turbocharged engines are all the rage. The Arkana uses the same 1.3-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol motor as before. It makes 115 kilowatts and 262 newton meters. It isn't class-leading, but it's not bad for a compact SUV. It's paired with a 7-speed dual-clutch auto that drives the front wheels. The Arkana prioritises fuel efficiency over speed and performance. Renault claims the Arkana will drink 5.9 litres per 100 kilometres, which isn't bad for a purely petrol motor. It drinks substantially more than some hybrid rivals, but is much thriftier than non-turbo options. One little nugget of gold with the Arcana is it only needs to use the cheapest unleaded petrol, which is very rare for these little turbo engines that usually drink the expensive stuff. So it's going to save you money in the long run.
So I haven't been driving this car for too long, only for about an hour or two, but a few things became pretty clear straight away. Renault have done a really good job with the steering. It holds its body control pretty well through the corners, so it feels flat and it doesn't roll and pitch and roll too much, which is important for an SUV because a lot of SUVs sit up quite high and they tend to roll and from side to side through the corners. But one of the reasons for that is it has quite firm suspension, which is great for going through the corners, but you will feel some pretty harsh bumps going over, road imperfections, especially short, sharp ones. So if there's consistent road bumps, it feels quite jittery. Now it's got a little turbo engine, which is pretty standard for a French car because emissions are the name of the game, right? But it's got plenty of grunt. So it's got about 115 kilowatts and about 260 newton meters, which is plenty for a car of this size. And so while the engine's pretty good, the transmission lets it down a little bit. It's quite jerky at lower speeds and it hesitates and then it'll give you a lot of power. So it can lead to a bit of wheel slip, especially when coming through intersections. So just give yourself more time when you're turning right across traffic or at a T intersection. It also can be a little bit noisy over coarse chip roads. You get a lot of tyre roar coming through the cabin. And it's been quite a windy day while I've been driving, and so you hear quite a lot of wind noise too from the side mirrors. One of the other things I noticed is the safety systems are quite well calibrated. In a lot of modern cars, they'll bing and bong at you at every little turn. But this one, it only makes a chime or steps in when it's actually really needed. So why a lot of cars tick the boxes when it comes to safety, the calibration is the thing that actually matters the most. And this car does it pretty well. And it's a compact SUV, so it's pretty nimble. It's great to drive around town. It's not too big. And also it has what a lot of people are looking for, a higher seating position. So you get a better view of the road ahead, which is what a lot of people go for the SUV over the traditional hatchbacks and sedans. And where the Arcana does best is sort of at speed. So at 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers on these country back roads we've been driving, it's a really able performer. And that's when the transmission works at its best as well, when it's in the higher gears and it's flicking through and it can sit at those higher levels. But as I said before, at lower speeds in traffic, when it's slipping between first and second gear, is when it can have that tendency to hesitate a little bit. And that's not to say that this is the only car that does that. It's quite a common trait of dual clutch transmissions, but it's just something to consider when you are driving. You need to be quite gentle with the pedals to avoid that.
The Arcana has a 5-star safety rating, but is based on the pre-update model, and that rating is due to expire by the end of next year. There are 6 airbags covering both rows and a massive safety tech. It'll automatically apply the brakes if it detects an accident. It will help keep you centered in your lane too. The Arcana will warn you if a car is in your blind spot and sound the alarm if a car is approaching from the side as you reverse. A bird's eye view camera on all grades is a welcome addition. It will help drivers navigate tricky, tight car spaces. Check out our full written review at carsguide.com.au for the list of safety tech. One of the biggest perks of the Arcana are its extremely generous service intervals, which occur every 12 months or 30,000 kilometres. So if you need to do big Ks for work, then this could save you big time in the long run. Renault also covers its cars with an industry-standard 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, and it sweetens the deal with 5 years of complimentary roadside assistance. The 5 years of cap price servicing will set owners back $2,385, which is on the expensive side compared to some rivals in its class.
Now the Renault Arcana, it's not going to be for everyone. It's a different looking kind of SUV, but it is packed full of gear and it has excellent ownership credentials. It's also not a bad thing to steer, but it is let down by its jerky transmission, which dulls the driving experience. But if you're after something a little bit different, it's something you should definitely consider.